Hi, this is La Fantasia Ronnie, and you're watching the Three Count Podcast.
I'm in fashion, roll with
Welcome everybody to
Kardashians.
another great edition of the Three Count Podcast presents Now Enter the Ring, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And by now, after our 290 something episode, I would just think you would say with me, I am your Sherpa. Because just like your tribal chief, acknowledge me. But like every good tribal chief or even every good Sherpa, it's never about me, it's about who's entering. So who's entering the ring today? Well, you can find this person at Frontier, you can find him at Eclipse, you can find him at Superstar, you can find him at Ace Fusion, Sanctuary, American Excellence, and also at Stinka Dead Lucha. She is the sensational La Fantasia, Ronnie.
Hey, how's
What's up?
everyone? I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing great. Yo, one, thank you for coming on our show.
No, thank you guys for having me.
Hell yeah. So we have met a couple times. More so, we met at another show, redacted. Some things happened and it was what it was. But we actually hit off. We had like a great conversation and stuff. And so I was like, yo, of course I gotta bring Ronnie on the show because Ronnie and I had like a great time just joking back and forth at said event. And I just, I thought I could pick your brain and just see what else I could learn about like the wrestling world with you.
Yeah, go ahead. I've
So
been around for a hot minute, so let's let's. I was freshly out of high school when I got into the industry, so it's been a minute.
Okay, well, I just wanted to ask the first questions. Who is Ronnie?
Ronnie, that's my real name. I didn't I didn't come up with a whole, persona. I feel like La Fantasia is my whole persona, and she is she's what I inspired to be as a woman. Someone confident, sexy, no matter what shape, form, plus size. And she's a fantasy. She's it. She's what men desire and women want to be.
It's funny how like in the world of wrestling, like we always want to like accentuate a characteristic that we like maybe we don't do like in our shoot life, right? Because like one thing about me is although my wife will disagree with me, I'm very like I'm very introverted. Like I love talking to people, but also like I like preferably more just sitting in my own shell. But when I'm Red Dog, like I'm very out there, I'm very brash, I'm very like fun loving and like a big jokester, and I just like to accentuate those things. And I think about those things when I'm in the wrestling ring. I'm just like I just can do this a lot bigger, so I'm gonna be bigger than what
Yeah,
I can.
I completely agree on that. Yeah. Like same with me. It takes a lot for me to like when it's just me, not La Fantasia, when it's just Ronnie, like I'm very outgoing once I'm comfortable knowing who you are. But before, like when you meet me at first, I'm kind of shy. Unless it's like a wrestling event, then I have to stay in character. So I get to know everyone, and I'm like, hi, I try to branch out and just talk to everyone. But in reality, like outside of everything, I'm like the shyest person because like I'll just sit there and until no one speaks to me, I won't speak at all.
That's how I am. Like I know, like especially at the place that I work at, right? Like the first few months, like I was just very in my own shell. Like I didn't want to come out of it because I was like, it's very nerve wracking, especially. And I work in a gym, so like I was just in the back office, just kind of like doing my thing.
Oh
But then like
wow.
once I started opening up and like kind of like exploring the gym a little bit, like people started seeing me more and more, and they're like, hey, like this is one of the trainers. Let's talk to him. Let's have
Wait,
some
are you a
fun.
trainer?
Yeah, so I'm a personal trainer.
Oh wow. I had no
And
idea.
yeah, and then once I like opened up and like started like playing around at the gym and like making friends with people, like things just kind of opened up for me, and then I just went ridiculous with it. So now people will like see me on the floor walking around with like weights in my arms and just like walk around and be like, "Hey, have you tried to lift this yet?" It's kind of unique, like just doing drum
Aw.
things.
Well, that's good though.
And you kind of have to have that bubbly personality, but I think that's why I like with Red Dog because, like I said, Red Dog is more like on the comical side, but he's also very like brash at the same time. Like he just knows, like he's very good at his job, so he's like, yeah, I can do whatever I want to. Whereas like in the gym, I have to be like, you kind of have to like nurture people because some people's egos in the gym, like man, you can hurt them in a minute. Just being like, hey man, your form's wrong. And they're like, ah, I've never had someone tell me my form was bad. I'm like,
That's
all right,
not
well,
just
you
in
blow.
that's not just in the gym. That's even in wrestling. You can't tell
This is
anyone
true.
anything. It harms every ego. Everyone's upset. Everyone's crying then later. So yeah, that's everywhere.
So how did you get into the business?
So okay, this is you. Bear with me. So I've always watched wrestling religiously. Monday Night Raw. Well, back in the days, I used to watch Oh God, I blanked out. WCW and
Mhm.
WWF and ECW, and I used to watch a lot of lucha because I grew up watching lucha libre first before WWE because of my grandfather. So then when I turned 17, um, I just kept always telling myself, like, oh, I would love to be Trish Stratus. I would love to be China. I would love to be Lita. And it wasn't until the age of 18 where one of my former friends, he introduced me to John Patrick Trotsky in the Sanctuary. And for years, I was in Sanctuary for a very long time. Like when I started going to Sanctuary again, I was like a week that I just graduated high school. So like there was baby me, like going in, and I remember when I spoke to Trotsky the first time, the first thing I told him was, I want to get in the ring, put me on your show. I did not know that you have to go to training, you have to train. I thought they just throw people in there and you just get pretty and the females just they'll talk about it later, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what I thought. It wasn't until I met Ali Rex, Sunny Kiss, Mike Orlando, Jamie Senegal, and like a bunch of others, like so many people that are now like they're out there now, like. But
Yeah.
when I met them, I had bright red hair, and when I met them, they were like, oh, this little mermaid girl, come here. And I'll never forget that. Yeah, and I'll never forget that they were like, what do you want to be in like wrestling? And I was like, oh, I want to do what you guys are doing. I want to be a part of it. And I had no idea what a bump was. I had no idea what running ropes was. I didn't know anything. I just thought, oh, I'm just trying to get some cool music, some good lighting, and throw me in there. Like, let's do this. And it took a good 4 years. I know that's gonna sound crazy, but it took a good 4 years so I can take my first bump, because you know how you have to pay your dues in wrestling. You have to everyone has to pay their dues. And being a female, like especially being a part of the LGBT community, it was kind of difficult because even though I was in Sanctuary is an amazing safe place for anyone that wants to go learn and especially be, developed. But again, Sanctuary, there's mostly guys there. So it was very difficult for me to know the women's aspect of the sport because everyone is different. So training with the guys, wrestling with men, and just being around them so much, that's what led me to, okay, like, so that's one of the reasons why in the ring I'm not like one of those chicks that is like super preppy. I can't. This is why La Fantasia is very sassy, because I'm like, no, I can't. I can't be a cheerleader. I used to be a cheerleader, but I can't be a cheerleader forever. So I can't be too preppy. So in the ring, like, just getting to know all of them and learning how everything in Sanctuary went, it was good. It was great. Sanctuary taught me a lot, and I just grew from there, honestly. I just grew from there, and I haven't stopped since. So that's a good part of me.
Yeah, it's interesting because you brought something up, right? Being a part of the LGBTQ community, like it's such a hard place to kind of, I don't want to say fit in, but it's kind of like there, I don't know, there's still like those wild stereotypes with
Oh,
being a
one
part of the
thousand percent. Yeah,
community.
yeah.
So
1000%.
and to me, I see it a lot, right? So it's like one of those things where you're trying to make your way through, and it happens with everything, right? Like not just like LGBTQ, but like with Latinos and African American wrestlers, right? Like there's always like a box that you get put into, and like you're not like people try to not let you deviate from like the characters that they have deemed whatever you are in this sport. So I guess my question for you is like, how do you keep trying to transcend and keep pushing the the bar forward in the community in the LGBTQ community?
So I can tell you this. So ever since I did start wrestling, I did get always told like I wasn't gonna make it anywhere. That I was told no one would take me serious, and I'm not gonna say who did it, but someone that means a lot to me told me you're not gonna be taken serious in this industry because of your background and because of who you represent and what you represent. So I don't look at the negatives anymore. I walk away from everything. If it's something that I see that has been like, if it's around, just like in my day-to-day life, if it's around people that are negative and people that have been, just not positive, I tend away from it. I don't talk to it. I don't associate. I back away from it. Especially even with fans, like I get those messages. Well, not anymore, I guess, because I finally am at a place where people are realizing who I am. But when I started, I used to get those messages all the time. You're just trying to be this. You're trying to be that. You don't deserve to be here. This isn't this, and it was very hard on my mental health because I was young. I was young. Now you can say, more seasoned, and I've been around wrestling since I was 18, and I'm about to be 27 next year. So it wasn't just though I woke up one day and everything changed. No, it took time for people to realize who I am, what I represent, and it's still something that like I deal with till this day. Like some promotions are positive, some people are some people don't know, so like they'll book me without knowing, and that's amazing because then no one knows my business. But others that do know my business, they'll be negative, and those are the ones that I just tune out. I'm not here for you. I'm here to help and be positive on those fans that have supported me. Especially like I've received so many fan messages, emails, private messages on Facebook, Instagram, and I get told all the time, like, thank you. You make me believe in myself. I get parents message me telling me about how their kids saw me in person and that now they want to be me. And I'm just like, oh, don't be me, but be yourself.
I feel like that's like the one thing that we want to push forward, right? So like in whatever aspect of life, like we're really pushing for. Like I know for me, trying to help further the Latino community because it's like we get told that we're allowed to be certain characters, right? You're either like a gangster or you're like like a thug or you're a mob boss or the cartel, right? Like you get put into these boxes. And like even my character is just like is a mercenary who's
Oh
just straight
yeah,
out of
you're
fun.
not alone on that. This is why I created La Fantasia. I actually you're gonna get the exclusive right now. So La Fantasia actually was based off a very, very famous other LGBT representative woman who I didn't grow up watching, but then as the older that I got to know her story, and her name is La Veneno. and I know it's gonna sound crazy for anyone that like knows, but there's a whole documentary series on her on HBO Max. And during the pandemic, like early the pandemic, I was struggling. I was struggling mentally because that's when a lot of things happened with my wrestling career where I kept being told, no, those doors were not going to open. Those doors are going to remain closed. So, and then on top of that, I was just Ronnie. I was just Ronnie Flores. And I was like going crazy because everyone kept telling me, like, even like wrestling people that we know, like top names, like the ones that know me personally, they would message me and tell me, hey, when are you gonna create a character? Where's your character? Like, where's your gimmick? And I'm like, oh my God, but I don't have one. I don't know how to be someone that's not me. Like, and I'm not, and like you said, I'm Latina, I'm Dominican, I'm proud, but I am not gonna be your stereotypical achola or like, I'm not gonna pretend like I'm goth out of nowhere. I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna do a death gimmick or something like that for me because that's not my thing. That's not something that I've never fallen into categories where everyone else is in there. Like I like to be in my own category. So during the pandemic, I watched the series and it was something that I was like, wait a minute, she is right. Women like me are known as fantasies. So at first, my name was Fantasy. Like it was the fantasy. It was in English.
Right.
But I was like, no, I'm Latina. You're gonna say it right. So that's why I have it. It's La Fantasia in Spanish. It's fantasy, but in Spanish.
Right.
And even though people botch it and they think it's Fantasia, but it's okay. It's okay. I correct it. I correct it all the time, but I tell everyone it's literally just fantasy in Spanish. It's Fanta like the drink, and then see ya like goodbye. See ya later. So,
Yes.
yeah.
It's not that hard. It's not that hard to learn. See, it's like
No.
something for me because like I wanted to showcase that like that I'm Panameño and I'm proud of that heritage, right? So when I got the opportunity to work with Diego El Trabajador, uh, I showcased that, right? Because I was like, yo, I'm gonna cut this whole entire promo where like I'm being contracted to work Diego and nobody knows why, right? So like I did research into like the Hispanic culture and stuff like that. Like I was learning how to salsa, right? I was doing like the
Yeah.
typical things, but it was more important that I got it across that like, listen, like I am Spanish as well. Like I am proud to be a Latino. I am very proud of this whole thing, and I want to help push our Latin community forward. And I see the same way. I see the same struggles with the LGBTQ. Like they have trouble like pushing forward their agenda because people are always like, no, 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 you can't do this, or no, 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 you're not gonna go there. But you see people like, like Effie, right, or Kid Bandit, or Maria Moreno. She's pushing as well. Like the envelope keeps getting pushed forward, and then you see people
Yeah.
like Alley Catch, right? They're pushing Sunny Kiss, right? Sonya Deville, like they're all pushing the envelope forward. So I just love watching when different communities get to help each other push the bar forward. And I think that's just
Oh
something
yeah,
that
yeah,
people need
yeah.
to take
That's
pride
actually
in.
it's crazy that you say that because it's funny how like I just remembered one of the biggest things in my career. When I started, I got the chance to meet Melina from WWE, and she came to Sanctuary, and we lasted hours. It was me, and obviously I wasn't alone. It was like all the trainees. We all finished training, and then we all spent the rest of the day getting to know her, learning her story, and then me and her had a one-on-one since I was the only female trainee, and me and her had a one-on-one, and it's crazy how she's actually one of the another reason why because I idolized her. So obviously when I saw her, I just started bawling. It's I don't fan out for anybody like that, but I do fan out for people that I do idolize and people that I respect their craft. Yeah, so like she's definitely one of them. And yeah, she's definitely top three. And I remember we sat down and me and her had a full on conversation where she told me, she was like, don't be anyone else, be yourself and represent what you want to represent. Don't let anyone else define who you are or anything like that. And that's why I was like, well, I'll never forget how I was like, I look Spanish as heck, so I can't deny that. So
Yeah,
that's why till this day I'm like, yeah, I will always and forever respect her words as to stay authentically you. Don't change who you are.
and it's something like even for me, like I'm very white, like I'm very white passing, but I have it tattooed like really big as a Panamanian. Like I want people to know, like when you see me, you're like, I don't know what it says on that guy's arm,
It's
but
okay. I
it
get
must
told
be serious
you could
because it
pass as
looks
white.
intense.
Apparently I could pass as Arabic. Like I get told this every day. Like, you Arabic? No, I'm Dominican.
Like, oh. So I want to ask like the next question, right? Which is one of my favorite questions to ask all my guests that come on the show. What's the worst bump you've taken?
Oh, child. Which one? Which one? I've taken many, but which one? No, I think I can think of two right now because it wasn't that long ago. No, one was when I started, and the other one was not that long ago. Um, the first bump that I took was I got power bombed, and the guy that gave me the power bomb, we were training for our match, and he completely didn't grab me. He let go, and he is. Oh, if he ever gets to see this, I'm sorry, sweetie. I'm not gonna say your name so nobody will bash you. But he is very tall. I'm very short. Everyone knows Ronnie's the Oompa Loompa walking around in the locker room. But hey. But I'm very short. I'm only 5'3", and this guy is like 7'1".
Oh,
Yeah. So I was I was top rope, and I remember he grabbed me and like extended his arms all the way up with me in the air, and he didn't grab my thighs to like power bomb me. He just let go. And all I remember was, and the worst part was the mat was like super thin. So I felt the wood too. And everyone was like, are you like everybody ran into the ring, and they were like, oh my God, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, yeah. Just I can't be first match right now. Make sure I'm like third. Just changing cards. But yeah, but that, it was bad. But then my last recent one was I did a hair karana. Wow, did I sound really weird? A hair karana. Okay. I don't know what's going on with my English today. I'm sorry, I'm speaking Spanish now. But I did a hair karana, and it was with El Rey, Sean, and my gear got caught in his mouth. I don't know how, but it got caught with his tooth, and he like went over me. So it kind of spiked me in my neck, and it was like a full bump instead of it being like I didn't turn all the way, but it was a mess. But I remember I like got up and everything was like I saw stars, and I was like, who's next? I was like, who's taking these hits? But
Damn.
it was a blast. I always have a blast.
I think that's the one thing about wrestling is that like we always take like these gnarly bumps, right? And we try to avoid them as much as possible, right? Because obviously we know like our bodies aren't gonna last forever, but we tend to take these gnarly bumps and then we're just like we just get it. We're like, yeah, we're good, and like
And then you
you know
feel
you're
it, and
not. Yeah,
the next day you feel it, and you're like, oh snap,
you jump out of bed, and you're like, oh no, oh no,
there it
my
was,
shoulder, my
there
back.
it is. Yep, yep. That's
I
me.
walk so every once in a while, like I'll take a gnarly bump where like even it looks like a safe bump, like I'm just take a flat back bump, right? and like the next morning I'll get out of bed and I'm walking around like Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man, where he's like, my back, oh my back, my back, my back. His walk around holding my back. I'm like, oh, I don't know what I did. I definitely broke something.
Oh,
Did I lose
is
you?
it me or is it you? Your camera went away.
Oh, it might have been me. I don't know. But yeah, it was like I was saying, like I sometimes I tend to feel like Peter Parker, like getting out of bed, I'll be like, my back. Oh, I shouldn't have taken that bump. It definitely sucks. I was like, so I can relate to your story about getting power bombed or just getting spiked.
Oh wow. Oh,
So
you can you still
are
see
we
me?
back now? Yeah, I got you.
Okay, now we're back. Yeah, I was like, oh my god,
Okay.
he glitched.
So, yeah, it is what it is, guys. You know this show. Like we have those issues every once in a while. Uh, all right. So another question I like to ask, right, is what's one of the hardest lessons you've had to learn being in the business?
Ooh, ooh, ooh. There's so many I've learned. Um, one that I now like have to, especially after the lovely show we did together. I have to. I realize actually like it kind of that was kind of like the stamp of where I realize now I have to realize my worth. And one thing is, I will not entertain when promoters don't know how to promote their own company in a professional way, shape, and form. Like, I'm not bashing on the company. They're sweet guys, amazing guys. Some, I have to say some. But no, I don't care. I'm Dominican from New York. That's La Fantasia outside of wrestling. No, I was raised by a very strict mother, and my mom used to always tell me, "You put yourself first. If you feel uncomfortable, don't do it. If you feel unsafe, don't do it. If you don't feel you belong, don't do it." Um, I've noticed now, especially after that show, if I don't get like, I never signed up to be a superstar. I signed up to live my dream and to entertain. And I do it for the fans and especially the ones that respect me and want to see me grow in my journey. So now my biggest thing is I will not sit here and be used or be spoken to like if I don't belong. And that's my number one thing right now. So yeah, that's the only thing I gotta say right now.
I like it. I like it a lot though, but that's something that people gotta understand. Like sometimes you just gotta know your worth. Like,
Yeah,
certain places you just don't need to be there. Like if they don't value you, if they don't want to invest in you, then there's listen, it's the indies. 100 other companies, probably
oh
in your local
yeah,
area, that's willing to pick you up. So like you gotta really stress about that part.
oh yeah,
Uh
and that's another thing. Like we as indie wrestlers have to realize that even though we are all trying to, achieve the same goal. Everyone's trying to achieve the same goal. We're all trying to make it and be these top stars. But the one thing is, as a wrestler, I travel. I know you travel. The one thing we definitely all have to realize is, especially nowadays, with I feel like after the pandemic, wrestling kind of changed. So like the world is very sensitive, and on top of very sensitive, the economy is really bad. So like really, really bad. So my number one thing is with traveling, like I can travel to promotions, but promotions need to also understand that if I'm driving 12 hours, 13 hours, like I'm not going for a handshake and a hot dog. Like I'm sorry. I'm really not. And that's something that like everyone needs to start realizing. Like, know your worth, pay your dues. I'll say that, pay your dues. I had to do them. I'm still doing them. I will always and forever pay my dues because at the end of the day, if I'm being respected, I will respect you. But I'm definitely not going to be sitting here and, you know, like I just saw a post the other day where it's like if you spend more money on like WWE merch, AEW merch, Impact people, like if you spend so much money on, if you're invested on TV people, but not investing in yourself, you're a mark. And me, I've invested more time in myself. Don't get me wrong, I mark out for some people. Don't get me wrong. But it's people that have been in the industry for more than 20 years. So we're good, everyone. We're good.
No, like for me personally, like I've invested a lot into myself, like into my character and stuff like that. But I've also gone out of my way to, I've gone out and I'll be honest, I have a whole drawer right over here. If people wonder why I'm filming this, you don't got to worry too much. But I got a whole drawer filled with other people's t-shirts because it's like I'm gonna go support my friends and people who I consider to be kind of close to me, and then those who don't want to support me back, then I just have the shirts in the back of the drawer
Oh
because I'm
yeah.
like,
Oh
you know,
no,
I
I'm the
bought this
same
stuff, I
way.
don't have
Don't
to.
get me wrong. I'm the same way. Oh yeah. Like I have like for an example, like when I'll use them as a prime example. Anyone that started with my like was there from the beginning of my career with its which is Sunny Kiss, Ali Rex, Mike Orlando, um, like so many, Nyla Rose, like so many, Kira Hogan. Like I have their merch. Of course I do. I will forever support those that have been positive and supported me since the day I stepped foot into a ring. And even if you're in my journey, like you as yourself, like I will always be there as a cheerleader to support the ones that have supported me. And even if you don't, okay, don't worry. If you succeed, I'll support. I'm not I'm not a Debbie Downer, but I'm also not gonna not show love to someone that's deserving, you
Right.
know? And that's just my thing.
So listen, you've been around in a lot of different locker rooms, so I
Yeah.
kind of need to know one do and one don't of the locker room.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. You mean like the whole locker room, as in like male and female, or just female locker room?
I think you know what? Why not both?
Ooh, okay. Okay. So as a female, do's and don'ts. Don't talk about others. Don't like. You're there to. If you have an opinion on other female workers, keep that opinion to yourself. You're not there. This isn't Mean Girls. This isn't a high school. We are entertainers. We are performers. We are professionals. And let's keep it like that. Same goes with the men. Same goes with the men. I've learned that if you have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. And that's, you know what? That's my one. For both, that's my one. If you have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. And my second thing is hygiene. Hygiene. Let me say that one more time. Hygiene. Everyone, please wash your gears, wash your boots, wash your sneakers, wash your socks, wash your feet. Like, that is one of the biggest things that I've learned. Like, I used to think, like, oh, that's just them. No, like, I'm like, no. You're going to be in this industry, like, have hygiene. At the end of the day, we're all sweaty afterwards. So there's no need for me to be smelling that sweat 3 months later.
Like, how hard is it to really like wash your gear? Like
It's
a couple,
not.
like
If
I
you're
get it because we all work a lot,
yeah, but my
but like
biggest thing
right
is,
after,
and I even tell, okay, this is what I tell, actually, I say that to myself all the time. I Like, don't I even if you have one gear, if you have one gear, I suggest you wash it after your match. If you have multiple gears, wear one this day. If you know you're lazy and you can't throw it in the washer right away, like go. There's a laundromat that I'm sure they will wash it for you. $10 more, but go ahead. There's no excuse for your stuff not to smell good, your gear not to be clean, and everyone just needs to look polished. Like you don't have to spend thousands of dollars in gear, but invest in yourself. Invest in trying to look like the star that you want to be and how you want people to remember you by. And that's my thing that I constantly tell myself, other than training and other than evolving my moves, I constantly tell myself, evolve your looks, change your looks. At the end of the day, I don't want to I don't want to just stay with one look and everyone's like, dang, what happened? Like you never evolved your character. And I'm just like, oh, I want to evolve my character. I want that late years and years past. I want one day to see a whole like timeline video of me and how I used to look and how I am today. That is my goal.
I like that though, and that's one thing too. Like for me, like my character, like he's a mercenary, but then I've also like taken like what I've got so far and been able to like readjust everything to go on. Like there's if you're kind of like a fighter type promotion, like we've got a pair of like camo shorts with some like wrist tape, right? Because obviously you want to look down and dirty. You want me to be that over the top character. I have either all black set of gear or all red set of gear. If you are kind of wanting to play off of like, I don't know, old wrestling from like Cleveland, Ohio, maybe someday you might find me there. I have a flight suit that makes me look like I'm back from like the 1940s. Like I have like different aspects of what I love doing with my characters. I'm like, let me continue playing around with the ideas and being able to change it up whenever the situation calls for it. And I think that's very, very notable. And I think that's something that I like the fact that you said that. Like you're changing your look up because, you know, everything's going to be different every other year, it seems like. So you got to evolve with the
Oh
times.
yeah. Yeah. And also I say it for me because I just went through this. One thing is like as a female, I can't say much like for the male. No, I guess it's for everyone. I'm not gonna speak like that. But I've no I'm sorry. I'm very like I don't like to look at things for one perspective. I like to make sure it's we equal here. But I like for me personally, and I'm guessing for many other wrestlers, like it's hard when you're trying to find your one signature look, and everyone till this day is like still going through that process of finding that signature look. And well, in the indie scene, like I noticed that like everyone's still evolving their looks, or like they found their trademark look, but they're like changing up the color, which is fine because you're switching up gear and you're still evolving. But as a female and some males, uh, we do have to switch up our hair color. We gotta change it, cut it. We gotta keep it entertained, and that's I use someone that I use as a prime example of evolving is like Sasha Banks. I'll just bring her up. Um, like she's someone that I respect her I respect the fact that you see her growth, and every single growth she has, there's a new look, there's a new set of gear there's always a new gear, but
There's always a new gear.
there's always a new gear. Must be nice. but but like there's like like there's the hair changing, there's the evolving of moves, her signature changes some way, shape, and form, or she'll find a new one, like so it's something that I respect. I personally do, especially like I'm known for wrestling with super long hair. So I'm sorry. I don't short hair on my round face. Ain't nobody signed up to play Dora.
No, I definitely. No, I understand that. I understand that, and it is cool that you look at yourself and you're like, I can change up anything and make myself into whatever I want. And so that's just like a great example because whether you saw her when she had just her natural hair color or the orange hair or the purple hair or the pink hair or the blue hair, the blue with green hair, and I don't know what hair color she's going to show up with this time, but we're going to see a whole lot of different
She's coming
attitude wherever
back.
she shows up.
She's coming back. What? Are you telling me something? No.
Mercedes put a whole bunch of stuff out there. Let's be real. Monet is coming around. I can't wait. I don't know where she's showing up though. So, listen, so we're gonna take this over to the best segment of the 3 Count podcast, and that is the 3 Count podcast 10 count questions. And it was second, the Red Dogs power rankings, which actually are right there. Used to be number one, but I refuse to acknowledge that they're retired. Chaz, you're not having that. And I get to say that in every single episode until I come up with the power rankings at one time. Anyway, the 3 Count podcast questions. This is how it is. I'm gonna fire off 10 questions at you rapid fast. And Ronnie, whatever your answer is, that's your answer.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're gonna put on the imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing!
Okay.
And in the words of Mike Goldberg, here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown.
Favorite movie?
Depending what genre.
Let's go with action.
Rush Hour.
I love that. That's a great pick. PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation.
Favorite actor or actress?
Favorite actor? Jason Momoa.
An
actress. An actress. I can never get her name because it always blows my mind. But it's the actress that is the lead role. Her name is Alice in Resident Evil.
Oh, Djokovic.
Yes, her. Yeah.
Why can't I read? I want to say me, but that's not right.
I don't know why my mind just went blank.
Yeah, me too. Djokovic. I know, like that's her last name. It'll come to me later.
I know.
Apple or Android?
Apple.
So favorite cartoon?
It depends what channel.
Let's go with Disney.
Disney favorite cartoon. Okay, so I'm a early 2000s baby, so I'll pick Brandy and Mr. Whiskers.
I like it. Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Favorite podcast?
The 3 Count.
Right. It's not like we don't have this thing marketed everywhere, which you're supposed to say. Nominate one person that you will see on this podcast.
I honestly, because I'm having a wonderful time and you are amazing, I would like to see you interview someone from TV. Like, I would love to see you interview like someone that's like on AEW, WWE. Like, I would love to see you do that. I want to see you succeed.
Yes, I appreciate that, especially with our 300th episode coming up. The world is massive. We can bring somebody on. And last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person that comes on this podcast. Favorite curse word?
Obviously, the WTF.
Right? You can curse on the show, by the way. I don't know if I told you that or not, but yeah, straight up. The 4-letter F word, that's a great word, and we're not talking about farm.
Well, no, wait. I will switch it. I love to use the word bitch.
Yes.
Because I use it in very many ways, shapes, and like I could introduce somebody like, this my bitch. I could be asking somebody like, bitch, where you at? Or I'll literally bitch. Bitch is the word. Bitch is my word. I'm pretty sure everyone says the F word, but I'll say bitch.
I've had so on this episode or like on this podcast that I've been doing for a while, we've had everything, but it seems like between fuck, shit, and bitch, like those are like the words, like the
Oh
three
yeah,
big words that everybody wants to say. But I do like a good bitch. Like yo, it's
yeah,
definitely a lot of fun to do. But listen, those are
yeah.
all my
Every show.
questions. And yeah, I was gonna say these are all of my questions. So the last thing I need from you is to let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
Well, you guys can find me on Facebook at La Fantasia Ronnie, and you guys can find me on Instagram at officially La Fantasia Ronnie. And that's it, everyone. Make sure you guys follow up, show up to the shows, and there's merch. So go on my pages. There's a link in every bio where you guys can buy my merch, just like this one from back in the day. So
Yes. So she gave you all the handles. She told you where you can find her, and you know what that means. Like every great part of a wrestling match, we gotta take this home because this is the Three Count Podcast presents Now Into Ring, and I am your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. And by our 200 and something episode, just say it with me, I am your Sherpa. But like every good Sherpa, it's not about me; it's about who's into the ring, and who's into the ring. You see her right there. Okay, it is Ronnie herself. So you guys know what to do. Tune in to the next episode and be there, or you're really just waiting for this episode to end. You're waiting for the outro. But more importantly, you're following us on all of our social media platforms. You're subscribed to our YouTube channel. You're following us on Spotify. You're even leaving us those 5-star frog / reviews on Apple Podcasts. You even buying our merch right here, prowrestlingtees.com / the Three Count Podcast, soon to be changed to For Your Aware. So be looking on the lookout for that. Go through, share it with your friends, comment on all of our stuff, and tell us about how great of a job we are doing, or we're not. We'll make adjustments if we need to. But more importantly, you're also waiting for that outro, and then you're just choosing another episode to listen to. Peace. What's going on, Three Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want you to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3count_pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3Count Pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm / the 3Count Podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3Count Podcast also has merchandise. Oh, at prowrestlingtees.com / the 3Count Pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So show us some support, please.